sorry. I feel like such a klutz today.
It's
All
all
right.
good. It's all good.
So I want you to, I'd like you to introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you and then how you got into this and some things that you'd like to share about emotions and mindset and all of that. And we're so super excited to have you. I can't even tell you. So I'm going to let you have the screen.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I'm truly honored to be here. And I love how you found me on Facebook under someone that was posting from Havening. I'm also certified as a Havening practitioner as well. But a little bit about me, very, very, very high level. I'm a mother, grandmother of 8. I'm a great grandmother of 1.5. So another one on the way. I'm also a wife. And how this business started for me, I was the general manager of John F. Kennedy Airport. Now, I have a little bit of an accent, right? So I'm originally from Australia and lived in New York for quite a while. So it's a little bit half and half, if you know what I mean. And while I had that role there at John F. Kennedy Airport, a lot of stress and anxiety started to overtake me from my role. And so what happened was, I ended up going to a doctor and I said to him, look, I'm really depressed. I don't know how to handle all the stress and anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. And he suggested that I get to know myself. And of course, I wanted medication and everything to make myself feel better, and I have no problem with that. But he said, I really suggest that you start to do some mindfulness and start to get what is the root cause of what is going on, what is causing this inside of you. So through that process, I started to study a lot of different things. I became a coach and a lot of different tools and techniques. And that led me to HeartMath. And so I decided, let me do this training because the tools really coincided with what I was learning about breathing and mindfulness. And sure enough, I was completely blown away by what the HeartMath Institute taught me. Not only are they powerful, but they're very simple. We breathe anyway, right? Hopefully we're all breathing here. I'd like to ask that question right away. And with the breathing comes the mindfulness of what we're doing with that breath to ultimately be able to shift and reset from where we are, we're in an unresourceful state, to get to the state that we want to be in. And how do we do that? So it starts with the breath. So I'm not sure if you would like me to take you through a little bit about what it is, high level, very high level, or we could open it up to some questions, or I could talk more about the HeartMath Institute.
All three.
All three. All righty, perfect. So when I teach this course, it's about 10 hours. So I'm going to give you a high level of you could leave here today with a great tool to take with you, practice one of their techniques. And what I'll get you to leave with is really understanding the impact of your emotional state, what our emotions do to us and what state of being we end up being in. And I'll help you recognize the 4 domains of resilience that HeartMath focuses on. And when we're in an emotional state that we don't necessarily want to be in, how we can shift that. It's called like shifting and resetting into a state that we want to be in. So learning how to shift and reset, as I like to call it, we're here, we imagine we're here and something is happening. How in that moment do we shift and reset to where we want to go? So it's in that moment is one of the keys that actually ends up helping us. How do we do that? So I'd like to just throw this out to everybody. How you feel really makes a difference. And when you change how you feel, it changes your whole story that you're telling yourself, what you're perceiving literally about anything else that's happening in the world. So we see the world, we see what's going on in the world through how we feel. If we're feeling anxious or stressed or angry about anything, it's how we're going to perceive what's actually going on in that world. So because we are emotional beings, being aware of that can help us to recognize what we are feeling in that very moment. We ultimately want to be able to feel the way we want to feel. If we want to stay angry, annoyed, stressed, we can stay there. There's no need to shift and reset. However, being able to shift from that depleting emotion, such as anxiety, stress, frustration, annoyance, to a renewing state can help us feel and stay more energized. So I'll say this, I imagine you know this already, how stress affects your body, but it affects every single part of your body. I heard Trisha say with our vision. Well, it affects our vision, our hair, our brain, our mouth, our muscles, our lungs, our digestive system, our reproductive organs, our skin, our joints, our brain, our lymph nodes, and it goes on and on and on. So that's what stress actually does to us. Not only does it affect our physical body, but it also affects our mental, our emotional, and our spiritual health. And I think we all want to stay more connected to that. So stress produces, this is what the HeartMath teaches us, stress produces cortisol in our system. Cortisol is not bad. We need it to get ourselves up in the morning, to get us going, but it's staying in that state of stress for too long. What can happen is, along with the things that I said before, we can get heart disease, high blood pressure, digestive issues, nerve problems, depression, headaches, anxiety, which is one of the reasons I went to my doctor in the very first place. And overall, a weakened immune system. And what happens is that stress accumulates, it builds up in our body. And if we don't do anything about that shift and reset, as I said, it impacts our entire well-being. So therefore, we're not even living our life or enjoying moment to moment. And I did not know this until I studied with the HeartMath Institute, that 60 to 80% of our primary care doctor visits, 60 to 80% are related to stress, And only 3% of patients receive stress management help. It's crazy. Only 3%. So I find that shocking. And the HeartMath Institute focuses on support around stress management. Their tools are simple and they're powerful. And I know I want support when it comes to having stress, because often I'll ask people when I do a workshop or I do a training, who here doesn't have any stress? Because if you don't, you could teach for me. I have the stress management tools to learn, not just to cope, but to be able to thrive through stress. I don't want to just cope. I want to thrive. As a great grandmother now, I want to enjoy those babies. I want to enjoy that time with my husband and my friends and my clients and my students. So if anyone has access to even typing in the chat, or you just think about this yourself, before we go over a quick and easy tool for this, we want to talk about resilience, because resilience is at the heart of what the HeartMath Institute does. What is resilience? Think about this for a moment. And what does resilience mean to you when you think about that word? It's kind of a buzzword lately, especially since COVID in the last 3 years. I need to have resilience. So what does resilience mean to you? I'll give you a couple of seconds to think about that, maybe even jot down some thoughts around that. And as you're doing that, the traditional definition of resilience is the ability to bounce back. And the Latin origin actually means to return to original form. I love this one, after being bent out of shape. Have any of you been bent out of shape? If you have children, you probably have, or even some co-workers or a spouse, right? And it also means perseverance or grit. That's what it means. But the HeartMath definition of it is the capacity to prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, challenge, or adversity. And the key word there is to prepare for, because when we're often having to adapt or recover from, it's a lot more work. So if we're able to prepare for that adversity in that moment, we can then thrive, and we're not just coping through a situation. So basically, all of us, me included, we're energy systems. So we're either expending our energy, depleting it, or we're renewing that energy in our system, our energy system. And what we have to do as human beings or spiritual beings, however you refer to that, we need to learn how to manage how we spend or expend our energy. We get triggered throughout the day, right? There's so many things that can trigger us. It could be an email. It could be for Trish when, oh my goodness, the YouTube volume, how do I turn this down? There's an echo. It could be anything. It doesn't matter, large or small. But what happens is it causes us to experience some depleting emotions. It can be an energy drain for us. And then we have to reset and recover from that in that moment. So what I love about this, that the HeartMath Institute taught me, and it made me feel safe, was that emotions are not good or bad. They're the 3 N's. They're normal, they're natural, and they're necessary. They're telling us something. So when we're triggered, we want to use what we call our self-awareness. We're like, oh, that's going on inside of me. And we can name that emotion. This is the emotion that I'm feeling. And when we become aware of it and we identify it, that unnecessary energy expenditure, we can then take action. Because awareness alone, just awareness alone, is not enough. It's taking the action on that awareness. Because if we get aware of something that is triggering us and we just respond to that same trigger, we're not making those changes. And therefore we could be draining our energy bucket. I like to use an example of just holding a bottle of water, and my water is full. It's actually not now because I've been drinking it, but it's full and it has a leak in it. And so it's harder to keep that energy full, right, if there's a leak in something. And that's how I like to refer to our own energy drains. If we're not plugging those energy drains and doing something to renew them and keep the energy at our battery full, then we're going to be drained. Is it possible I'm able to share one slide by any chance?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. I'd like to show this one slide that's easier to show you than, let me just see. Okay.
Let me just click share screen at the bottom.
Yes, that should be good. Okay. And if not, it hasn't let me yet, Trish.
Let me see. Your co-host though, right? Did you click share screen at the bottom?
I did. What you could
wait,
do.
Wait. Let me
Okay.
see multiple. I'll just do multiple participants. See if that works. Try now.
Yes. Yay, okay. Look at that. We shifted and reset, right? So with HeartMath, we have 4 domains of resilience. And so how do we build our resilience capacity to help self-regulate, which is the circle in the center? How do we build that capacity to self-regulate? So we're going to take a quick look at the 4 domains of resilience and some change tools that you could choose for each one of these yourself. We have the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. Feel free to take a picture of this slide so you can see, and we're going to be talking about each one of those domains. I'll leave it up there for a couple of moments. So if we were to look at the physical domain, the awareness tool, right? The awareness tool meaning it's not enough to just be aware. What action are we taking on that awareness? So the physical domain impacts what you feel in your physical body. And if you're with somebody right now, and even if you're not, just imagine that you are, and I'm going to give you an example of what the physical could feel like. So I'm going to ask you to just round your shoulders, bring your chin for a moment, and imagine with me you're introducing yourself to somebody next to you. So imagine I first came on, or Trish first came on, and we go, "Hi, my name's Debra. It's really nice to meet you, and I'm so happy to be here." Right? Do you feel so happy when you're saying that? Do you feel it in your body? Doesn't feel that way. So we want to shake our body around and move our body around. That's how the physical impacts our results. And when we become aware of what happens in our body, not smiling, slumping over, we're asking ourselves, what else can I do to shift from here, to reset, to go into the physical response that I want to be feeling within my body? The physical body is very, very powerful. It's where everything else lands in the physical body. It shows up. That's what the stress does to us inside. So much more so than the words we actually say to ourselves. So just give you one other example with the physical. If I were to say to you again, join me in this moment and just slump forward, round your shoulders, bring your chin to your chest, really like bow in and go, I am so happy. I feel so amazing. I won $1 million. No, you don't feel it. Who felt amazing? No one. So what you want to do now is realize how much more powerful the physical impact of our body has. Just bring your hands up in the air, look up, bring a smile to your face, draw your belly and expand your chest and go, I'm miserable. Does anyone feel miserable? No, it's not possible. So our body is one way to shift and reset some of those emotional feelings that we're having that are impacting us physically. So the physical domain change tool, as we can do, is about the awareness. Remember, once we're aware, what is it? What action can we do to do something about it? Can I move my body? Can I get up and walk around? Can I just tilt my head from side to side? Can I do 10 jumping jacks? Can I stand in place and do some high knees? Very, very simple. It can actually be turning yourself upside down and getting a different perspective. So you want to take notice of 1 to 3 simple things that you can do in the area of the physical domain to have even more flexibility, even more endurance, to increase your physical domain energy. Now the mental. I love the mental. We tell us this can get us into so much trouble, right? So much trouble. We tell ourselves stories all the time. And Brene Brown actually says it really well, which HeartMath refers to, is what story are you telling yourself? What story? And we can be very mean to ourselves, very mean. And I don't believe we would speak to anybody else the way that we often speak to ourselves. One of my favorite things around this is we get up in the morning, whatever time it is, and we go to the bathroom and we walk past the bathroom mirror and we go, oh my goodness, what happened to you overnight? You look dreadful. And we're talking about ourselves. But we don't come on here or greet each other. Like Trisha didn't say to me, Debra, you look so dreadful. What happened to you? I saw your profile picture, you look nothing like that. We don't think it, but we do and say these things to ourselves on the mental realm. So wherever there is conflict, where we're feeling a mental conflict, we want to ask ourselves, what story am I telling myself? Anytime we feel anxiety, we can ask ourselves that question to shift and reset. So even the shift and reset, we're here and we want to reset. It could be asking ourselves, how true is this, what I'm actually saying? How true is this? And even if we believe it to be true, we can say, what would be a more empowering or a more enlightening or a more positive story I could be telling myself than the drama that I'm telling myself right now? Change the channel of the story. So how do we know it's time to change our story? We tune in to our emotions. We become aware of building and this is a big part of HeartMath, of building that communication, that line of communication between our head and our heart. Between our head and our heart. And the easiest way to do that is asking yourself the question, what am I feeling right now? What am I feeling right now? And when we get familiar with knowing how to label our emotions, you'll feel way better and get better results in every single area of your life. We call naming them to tame them. Oh, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling hurt, I'm feeling resentful, I'm feeling annoyed, I'm feeling nervous. The moment you name it, it will start to shift. And HeartMath has a wonderful technique that I'm just going to take you through very quickly. And it's called the quick coherence technique. So you can't get much better than that. And before I take you through it, this is where the real magic happens, and I'll tell you why. We all want to feel good inside our body, right? We all want to feel good. It's often how we feel. We might not see how we are looking, but we know how we're feeling. And what happens is when we feel good, you get these natural, I did not know this and I loved it when I heard this, these natural good hormones in your system that make you feel better. It's actually a cocktail of 1,400 biochemicals that you can produce naturally, and you're changing the energy field around your body. Your energy is contagious. You feel that energy, so it raises your vibration, right? That you then send out to others around you. And when you do this technique, you want to make a sincere attempt to re-experience a regenerative feeling for someone special or something special in your life. Maybe it's your cat, your dog, a loved one, a trip that you've done. Or you could even focus on a feeling of calm and ease. So doing the heart focused breathing, I'll take you through that. It's so simple, and you'll then bring in a positive regenerative feeling. When you experience those positive emotions, what happens is your physiology changes automatically. It quickly recharges that inner battery and builds that resilience capacity that we were talking about. And it's where the heart and the brain are in sync. They're going like this together instead of like this. You intentionally create more coherence throughout your day, throughout your life. And one other quick little thing about that, the heart sends more signals to the brain than the other way around. So we want to check, what signals are we sending? Are we sending signals to our brain that are irregular, right? That are angry, that are frustrated, that are annoyed, that are depleting? Because if we are, that's going to go up to that frontal lobe, which is our decision making. And then what sort of decisions are we going to be making from those erratic signals? So these simple tools make it really easy for us to build resilience, get into a state of coherence, and therefore get better results and feel better about everything. So if you would join me just for a second, what I'd like you to do, if you choose, you can close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. And I would like you to focus your attention in the area of your heart. Remembering that the heart sends more signals to the brain than the other way around. And as you focus your attention in the area of your heart, make your inhale and your exhale a little slower and deeper than usual. You find a rhythm that's easy for you. And as you're breathing into your heart, your chest area, with a rhythm that's easy and comfortable for you, you want to bring in a regenerative feeling, whatever that is for you. Maybe it's of a loved one, a pet, a trip you've done, or a feeling of appreciation and care for someone or something. And all you do is breathe that into your heart. And you hold on to that into your heart. And you notice the subtle shift inside of you. Just notice, that's all you have to do. So when I ask you to open your eyes, if you have your eyes closed, you can take your hand away from your heart if you chose to do that. Keep that feeling with you, that regenerative feeling, whatever it was you chose inside of you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, keeping that there with you, so that's called the quick coherence technique. So you can quickly put yourself into a state of coherence. You can do it with your eyes open. And I suggest that if you're driving and you're stuck in traffic, it's a good idea. So the last thing is the spiritual domain tool. And we want to ask ourselves, what will it take to honor what's important to me in this moment? What will it take to honor what's most important to me in this moment and bring to heart your most connected self as you go about whatever it is you're interacting with, and noticing that you could shift and reset in that moment to a regenerative feeling. So that's just a very quick high overview. I would like to suggest that you practice that quick coherence technique at least 3 times a day, breathing into your heart, bringing in appreciation or care or someone or something. And then remember that once you label the emotion, you're able to shift and reset into a different state by using the quick coherence technique. And then maybe a change tool in any of the other domains. Change your physiology, change your story that you're doing, right? And then connect with your true self, with your spiritual self. How is this honoring me right now? So that was my little high level overview. And I'd love to take any questions or anything or whatever Trisha wants to do right now. It's perfect.
Katrina, do we have any questions on YouTube? I don't want to open it because I'm scared. If you can see anything on YouTube, you don't see any, perfect. Okay, I want to add myself to the screen for just a second.
Sure.
And then I'm going to ask something of you too. Okay, so love it, totally love it. And it felt really nice to like have a review of it for me for HeartMath. I want to say something about the HeartMath on the coherence. It's so simple and it's so powerful. And one of the things that like I always say, one thing, I was at the beach one time and there were some dolphins there and I thought, I'm going to get into a heart coherent state. And so I did. I did exactly the technique that you just taught us, the quick coherence technique, heart focused breathing. And I started doing that and I felt this energy build up in me and all this love. And then I was emanating it out towards the dolphin. And then I put my hands on the water and I was standing in about thigh deep water. And I put my hands parallel with the water where the dolphin was, and the dolphin swam up to me and popped its head out of the water and gave me full eye contact. And there are other people there too, and everybody gasped. They're like, like that. And it was like the dolphin was saying, okay, I feel what you're doing. And they wanted to see like, who's doing that? Who is doing that? And the dolphins noticed it, they felt it. So actually one of the fastest ways that you can calm down a pet is by yourself going into a coherent state and getting into that. So, I mean, it's beyond powerful for just us. It's like how you interact with the world and how your pets perceive you and wild animals perceive you, and your eyesight clears up. And it's just that resilient place. Now, I know you have a special offer, and this is one of the things I was so excited about when I saw it. I was like, we got to get her on the podcast because I want to put this out to our people who are our listeners, our audience, and our club members or Vision Club members, because it's just a treasure. I mean, to have HeartMath training in any form at all is you need it. It's like I said, it is literally probably one of my most all-time favorite tools in my entire life, and I've had a lot of different trainings. So I'm going to remove this. I would like you to please let us know what you have to offer.
Yeah, sure. Well, the HeartMath Institute has just updated because we're now in 2023. So some of the things with the different stresses that we're adapting to today, they've also updated their training. So I've gone through it all. So that's what I'm offering to anybody that wants to go through their updated version. They now call it the HeartMath Coherence Advantage. It used to be called the Resilience Advantage. It's now Coherence Advantage. A lot of the same tools and techniques in there, but it's much more modernized. So what I'm offering is in September, it's 10 hours total. It's on a Saturday and a Sunday. I think it's from 10 to 3 Eastern Standard Time for $97. So it's a bargain. You get the PDF workbook, the entire package. And and at the checkout, you would type in HeartMath because it's normally more than that. So yeah, and we'll bring it down to $97. And I'm excited. We already have people from all over the world that are attending. Some of them are Havening practitioners. So yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. Or tools, lots of tools. Yeah.
Yay. So I really hope people take advantage of it. I do. Like I said, this is, and you can learn it on yourself. You can, and I'll tell you this, once you start using HeartMath techniques and the coherence and the heart coherence, and your vibrational energy system goes up, you become more resilient, people notice you're calmer, they will start asking you, hey, what's different about you? You're like, you don't react the way that you used to react. And like those stress responses, you don't seem to have those anymore. And they want a piece of the piece, the PEAC that you have. They want to know what's she taking, what's she drinking, what's she doing, what's she doing that's different. And then you can say, well, I've been practicing these coherence, these HeartMath coherence techniques. HeartMath has worked with big companies all over the world. It is a very powerful group. They are well researched. They have a little bit of the woo-woo too. I know that because I've been there. I worked up there for a little bit when I was looking for a full-time job in Santa Cruz. So yes, exactly, Tracy. You become more magnetic to what you want. That is exactly it. Yeah, you do. You attract, when you are higher frequency, your life sort of rearranges itself to become, everything becomes higher vibration. Things just happen easier, more effortlessly, and you see answers and see solutions that you didn't see before. And that's one of the biggest things that we want to take care of with our eyesight and our vision, is having that resilience that when we have a negative emotion of some kind, we bounce back faster and we regain our clarity quicker. So instead of we have a bad experience and then we notice a decline in our vision, you may still have that decline, but you'll be able to bounce back faster. Maybe it'll take you just a few hours instead of a few days to regain that visual clarity. I definitely know that from personal experience recently. So, Debra, I'm so grateful to you for joining us today. I really am. I'm absolutely honored that you said yes when I asked, and that Claudia loved the idea too. So she's actually traveling. So yeah, I hope she's sort of tuning in from afar. And
no, it's my pleasure. You said so many things that I get. When I was the general manager of John F. Kennedy and I stopped doing that, people were like, what are you doing? I want some of that. What is it? Oh, I've learned how to breathe a little more differently. And what? They want to know what you're doing. Yeah, exactly.
They do. It's contagious. It literally is contagious. And the people up there are wonderful. I mean, it's one thing to read about something online, and it's another thing to meet the actual people and see them live it. And like Howard Martin, who's one of the founders, he would hook himself up to one of their little monitoring systems like the M-Wave or Inner Balance app. And then he would do his entire presentation talk, and you could watch the coherence, and you could see his heart coherence, how he stayed in that state. Now, I don't know if I could do that. Like I would cringe to see what mine looked like.
He's practiced, so it's with practice, like anything. How do we get better? It's through practice. And it takes time to build up that resilience capacity, right? So we're building it constantly. What are we doing to build it? With that awareness, are we doing the same patterns of thinking and behaving? Or are we saying, oh, let me practice that 3 times a day or whatever, so that when something happens, I'm able to immediately shift and reset into a state I want to be instead of a reactionary state. So, yeah.
It's true. It is about building capacity. It is. That's exactly it. And if you want to use your pets to build capacity, or if you want to use a happy memory to build capacity, any of those, but like using those things to bring you back into the present moment and heart-centered breathing. It's such an easy, it's deceptively easy, but you're right. It's practice. You do have to focus. You do have to spend a little bit of time doing it, just like with the eye techniques. It's the same. Spend a little time on all of these. All right. So we are going to close off the live stream. I want to thank everybody for joining us for Clear Vision Wednesday. We have a bunch of super fun speakers coming up in the future calls, so please stay tuned for more. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet and you're a new viewer. Welcome. And Claudia has we have some really cool vision things coming up in the future too. So we invite you to join the email list and watch for the new things coming up. We are when I log off of the live streaming service now, we're from YouTube, we're going to go to a private Zoom room with the Clear Vision Club, which is Claudia's membership group, and have a Q&A. I'm really looking forward to that. So hang on a minute, Debra, and thank you everyone for joining us. Best wishes for good